Good evening, everyone. This is Frank D. Guys Dropping Knowledge coming at you once again. A little bit of a message, a little bit of knowledge. First of all, like always, taking the time to thank you guys for watching my videos, liking my videos, leaving a comment, engaging with me on those videos, as well as all of the new subscribers. I saw a little bump in the subscriber count, which is getting me closer to my goal. And I really just want to appreciate and say thank you to all of you that are rocking with my channel, that enjoy what I put out. I just put out a little short, it's not too long, just to let you know that we're going to continue doing what we're doing. To all of those that are a part of the Exposed Tube community, I just want to send a shout out to you. We're going to continue doing what we do, keeping our foot on the neck of the weirdos that invade our spaces. Now, having said that, tonight, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. Obviously, Bad Bunny was the headliner. We saw Lady Gaga, we saw Ricky Martin, and a bunch of other actors and people, within the industry, within the entertainment industry, sprinkled among all of those dancers and different participants. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. First of all, I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny. I'm not a fan of reggaeton. I'm not even a fan of football, to be honest with you. I do watch a few games. I can, especially a Super Bowl, obviously. I'm about to go watch it again, like whatever's going on right now. But I did want to take the time to speak on this because I think first and foremost, there was a lot of hoopla around this Super Bowl because it was going to be Bad Bunny. A lot of people thought he was going to be overtly political. They thought he was going to wear a dress. Kid Rock and all of the MAGAs were going to have their own like halftime show for MAGA, for people that were going to be opposed to whatever Bad Bunny had up his sleeve. Apart from that, Trump sent out his ice goons all over to try to intimidate people, to try to intimidate the message. It became a very big thing. It's been something that's been talked about for months since it was announced, right? I know that there was a lot of hoopla, a lot of backlash after Kendrick Lamar's performance, which I think was even, that was more political than what we saw tonight. And it's one of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows, along with Michael Jackson and Prince, right? Will Bad Bunny be at the level of those that I like? Maybe not. But there are a lot of things that I do like and that I want to talk about right now. And there was something in particular that I'm going to talk about at the end that maybe some of you missed. And if you go and watch it again, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, first and foremost, the way that the Latino community was represented, I thought was excellent. We saw storekeepers, we saw business owners, we saw people cutting hair, having little markets, the street vendor, right? The iconic street vendor. The street vendor is not a product of just people trying to make it in the United States. The street vendor is something typical within our own countries. If we go out and go anywhere, you're always going to see a street vendor. Here where I live, I usually buy my vegetables and the fruit from the people that are selling that pass by my house and sell those goods. I buy from them because I know that they're working hard, pushing carts in the sun, and sometimes their produce is the freshest. So I'd rather buy from them than go to a supermarket. That being said, just seeing the iconic characters within the Latin American community that make up the economy, that make up the society, that add color and flavor to the United States, to me was extremely well done. And I enjoyed it and I felt attracted to that. I felt like I was represented, not just because, he mentioned El Salvador and they waved our flag and all of that, but because all of these things that we see really unite us as a people, as Latinos. We all suffer the blunt of the political identity, politics, and racism. Even those that want to forget that they're Latinos and want to associate themselves with MAGA and they think that they're going to be loved and respected the same. I hope you saw tonight's show and identified once again with your roots, because that's what I took from it. I took from tonight's show a message to really, really think about where we come from, what we go through, who we are, and what we provide, and what we um, always give when we're productive in society. Usually the spotlight is on the criminal elements within the Latino community. The Mexicans are targeted, and we're also sometimes called Mexican because they don't take the time to realize that a lot of us come from many different countries, right? But they look at us, they look at our skin, and they think they're all the same, right? There's a song by Ice Cube, "My Skin Is My Sin," and I believe that a lot of us are targeted, a lot of us are made to be looked upon as criminals because of the color of our skin. Now, if you're a white passing, Latino, a lot of times you can, get by. But if you're a Latino of my complexion or darker, and with the features that I have, especially those that look a lot more indigenous than I do, we get targeted, we get stereotyped, we get pigeonholed. And I think that tonight's performance really showed who we are. We love to dance, we love to have a good time, but we work hard. My mom is a very hard worker. My dad has worked and continues to work. My mom continues to work, and she's almost 80, right? So Latinos in the United States, especially undocumented immigrants, pay taxes that they cannot benefit from, regardless of the political racist talking points that they try to spew out there, and they're saying that immigrants, undocumented immigrants, get more help than the veterans, when in reality nobody gets anything, right? They just try to pit us against each other and make it seem as though it's Latinos and it's immigrants that are eating up all of the money, taking away all of the jobs that white people should have. But I know that there are a lot of white people that know that that's not true. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Latinos that think it is true and want to side with white people just to realize that they're going to be looked upon the way they look upon me and all of my dark skinned brothers and sisters. Now, having said that, I really enjoyed the performance. I really enjoyed the dancers. There were a lot of actors sprinkled in amongst the people performing. We saw Lady Gaga, with who Latinized her sound, danced with Bad Bunny. I really enjoyed that part of the show. Ricky Martin popped out. A lot of music that was played, like Tego Calderon, really paid homage to Latin American artists, and I really enjoyed that. I felt identified. I felt it was a good, solid production, and it was not overtly political. But now in days, to say that you're proud of who you are, that that you're proud of your roots, that you're proud of your Latin heritage, is taken as a political statement. Like, that's how far we've come in this racism that's being perpetrated by Trump and all of his sycophants, and all of the MAGA and all of the guys on YouTube that want to be Trump supporters, like our friends Dubs and Gunner. But that's a whole different story. They're delusional. They think that they're going to be looked upon the same as their white MAGAs. No, they're not. No, you're not. You're not going to be looked upon that way. They will still try to deport you. That's why it's best that you stay in your little apartment so that doesn't happen. Now, having said all of this, there is one part of the performance that really stuck out to me, and it happened so fast, but I caught it. And if you go back and watch it, I'm sure you'll catch it too. And it's a boy that's lying down like asleep on two folding chairs. And Bad Bunny passes by, wakes him up, and then he continues. The boy wakes up. That happens. It happens like in 5 seconds. It's like a really, really split second thing. But when I saw that, it touched me because I remember being a kid at one of my parents' parties or at one of their friends' parties or one of my family's parties. And those parties lasting till 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, while people are still dancing, and we would fall asleep on those chairs. Sometimes, wrapped up in my dad's jacket or his blazer, because he was always wearing a blazer. My dad dresses up. He's that type. He likes to wear blazers and slacks. He doesn't like wearing tennis shoes. So I remember, like, when I saw that, it really impacted me because it reminded me of my childhood. And I think many of us Latinos that grew up in homes where we celebrated birthdays, and they weren't typical children birthday parties. They were really for the adults. Yeah, there were piñatas, there were gifts, there was always cake, but then there was also dancing, music, and parties till the break of dawn. And we would be those kids lying down on those chairs, waiting for the party to end, waiting to go home. And I think that to me illustrated the most who we are. No, we're people that love to party. We're people that love to have a good time, regardless of adversity, regardless of breaking our backs to make a living, regardless of contributing to a country that doesn't see us as equals. Regardless of the division even amongst ourselves. So I think that tonight's Super Bowl was very representative of us as a culture. I don't think it was overtly political. I think that people that were there had a good time. You could hear it with the cheers and the applause at the end. I think it was very well done. And I would say that just makes me respect Bad Bunny that much more. I had already started to respect him with his stances, with what he was saying. Not so much his music. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the music, but I am a fan of people that represent Latinos in the best light, in the best way. And I think that tonight, Bad Bunny was able to do that. Right? So, to everyone watching this video, remember to be proud of who you are. Don't forget your roots. And let's continue pushing on. No, it's not going to stop. We're not going to stop being who we are. There's no way to change the color of our skin. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of where you come from. Remember who your parents, who your grandparents are, where they came from, all the struggles that they had to go through just to take your family into a better place, the United States. And even though we are harassed, even though they try to put us down and step on us and criminalize us and make us look as though we're not worth anything, we are people of the sun, just like our black brothers and sisters, just like our Asian brothers and sisters. And we're going to continue moving forward. We're going to continue adding spice, adding color, adding music to those places where they don't even like us. But we're going to continue being ourselves. I'm going to continue being myself. I'm going to continue putting out content, and it don't stop. And with that, just wanted to take the time to say thank you for all of your support. Thank you for being a part of this channel. And until next time, peace.